Previously on Health Now.
So we always say that when you're expectant, you should do your first ultrasound before 11 weeks of pregnancy. Okay. Unfortunately, majority of our women come much later. They wait for 5 months. I don't know who told some people that 5 months is when you start. But we should actually do a first trimester ultrasound in the first 3 months of pregnancy so that we are able to pick some of these things.
Previously, our viewer, we were looking at emergencies on the removal of the uterus. And Daktari was talking about a ruptured uterus. Daktari,
yes.
Endelea.
Thank you, Jane. Okay, so we said there are situations, emergency situations that lead to removal of a uterus.
Yeah.
We talked about the bleeding after delivery, which is quite common.
Yes.
The other one was the ruptured uterus.
Yes.
And we said ruptured uterus most of the times happen in women who labor at home, either after a cesarean section or when the baby is lying in an incorrect position, meaning the head is not down. The head could be either on the side, it could be up, and you're trying to labor at home. Women who have had fibroids removed and then they try to labor at home. Because remember, any scar on the uterus is a weak point.
Okay.
So that weak point could give way. And that is why we encourage everybody to try and deliver in the hospital. So other situations that can lead to emergency removal.
Probably before we go there, sorry for interruption.
No problem.
I have two daughters. The first one was a breech baby.
Yes.
The second one was transverse. Look
Oh,
at
really?
me now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Look at
here
me
is
now.
an example.
Yes. So both are cesarean section babies.
Yes.
And the second one, it were both emergencies the way you're talking about.
Yes.
So look at me now.
Yes. So you see, assuming you had a breech delivery at first, cesarean section, then you try to labor with a transverse baby at home. So what happens is you have a lot of force and a baby who's not coming down because the baby is in transverse.
Yeah.
So what happens is the weakest point of the uterus will give way. Okay?
Yeah.
And that is what we call a ruptured uterus. A very dangerous situation to be in because it could easily lead to death because of bleeding. Yeah, so we really encourage that you don't try to deliver your babies at home. Okay? Yeah, so the other thing that could happen is rape. Women who have been sexually abused, and we know this happens. We hope we can get to a point where it no longer happens. We've found women who have been raped and have had things inserted inside their body that cause a rupture. I mean, that cause a perforation in the uterus. It might cause an infection that you're not able to deal with. And the only way to preserve that woman is by removing the uterus. Okay, so that is also quite common and we see it. Then the other thing that causes quite a number of uteruses to be removed is unsafe abortions, unfortunately. And the unfortunate bit about this is it happens in young women. Okay, so you have someone who went to terminate a pregnancy in unsafe circumstances. They get very bad infections. Their uterus is perforated. You find things that should not be inside there, you find them inside there. And sometimes much as you try to preserve that uterus, then there is not much you can do, okay? Because you have to either choose between losing the woman or losing the uterus.
Yeah.
And usually we will opt to lose the uterus. Of course, causes a lot of psychological trauma later on in life with a lot of regrets. Even for the woman who it is done medically, like you went to deliver your first baby, you wake up and people tell you you don't have a uterus. A lot of psychological trauma, but sometimes it's necessary. And as you said, it's always a last resort. You want to try to do everything else before you get to that point. But if you find yourself there, then you have to do it. Yeah. So those are some of the reasons why in an emergency situation, we might have to remove the uterus. Yes.
Any other addition that probably could be there? Where?
Tell me what you have in mind.
I don't have anything in mind.
I think those are the ones I can think about.
I don't
Around
have
delivery,
anything,
unsafe abortions, people who've been raped, a ruptured uterus. Those are some of the main reasons why we end up removing the uterus in an emergency situation.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And
Yes. Okay.
Tafadhali.
So, what do we do? Because we want women to grow old with all their organs intact.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Sometimes it's not possible, but there are some that we can prevent.
Okay.
Okay. So we are hoping that there are things we can do early enough to prevent losing our body parts. Dear women, don't deliver at home. Okay? Please do not deliver your babies at home. Come to hospital in good time. You'd rather even go and you're told, your labor is still very early, go home, walk around, then come back, as opposed to coming when the baby is already out and the health worker may not be able to do much. Because some of the things that we are able to do is we can identify even high-risk mothers who are at risk of bleeding. You know, if you tell me I bled in my last pregnancy, I know even this one, the risk is still very high. And therefore, we will be more proactive in managing you to avoid bleeding that would lead to loss of your uterus. Please go to the clinic as many times as you can and as soon as you realize you're pregnant. There's no magic about 5 months. I don't know. Because my experience is that
I've never even heard about the 5 months.
Everyone tells you, you ask, why didn't you come? I was waiting for 5 months. Why? Because they think it's still too early. However, we want to pick some of those things when it's early. Okay? So that if there's an intervention that we can do, then we do it in good time.
Yeah.
So come to the clinic. Let us do an ultrasound before 3 months are over, so that we pick some of those things that can be corrected early. The other thing, especially for the woman who's above 21, get screened for cancer. Okay, please get screened for cancer, because we are seeing a lot of change from what used to be there previously, where cancer was a disease of the old woman. Now cancer is a disease of everybody. Okay, so we are asking our women to please get screened as you're advised by your doctor. Okay, especially for the cervix. The cervix is, if there's a disease that shouldn't kill women, is cervical cancer, because that one is something you pick 5 years before it becomes cancer, and you can treat it.
Come again, Daktari.
Yes. I have said cervical cancer is a disease that should not kill any woman, because it takes a long time to become cancer, and that is where screening comes in. And we can be able to pick the disease way before, 5-7 years before it becomes cancer, and we can treat it. And we only treat the point that looks like it will become cancer, because we have ways of identifying that point. You just treat that point. Woman goes on with her life, goes on to have as many children as they wish. So we are asking women, please visit a gynecologist once a year. They'll advise you based on your risk. They'll tell you what you need to do. And the other thing, for ovarian cancer, if in your family you've had anyone with breast cancer, ovarian cancer, or colon cancer, some of those things are genetic. Okay, so there are some families that have a gene that causes ovarian, breast, and colon cancer. And that's why we are saying visit the gynecologist. We are able to advise you. So if anyone has had breast cancer in your family, that whole family, the women in that family should actually be screened for ovarian, breast, and colon cancer. Okay, and you would only know such things by visiting your gynecologist. Otherwise, you will not know. You'll think that my sister died of breast cancer. I am safe. You're not safe. All the women in that family are not safe. So visit your gynecologist once a year. Let us look for fibroids when they are still small, because there are many things we can do to fibroids when they are small to prevent them from becoming too big, because usually we will remove the uterus when they are too big, and it is not possible to remove them without removing the uterus, because they can cause a lot of bleeding, and we want to avoid the bleeding when we are doing the surgery, because we don't want to leave a woman on the theater table. So dear women, let us make it routine. If you have a chronic cough, go to the doctor. Let this cough be treated. If you have constipation, go to the doctor, because constipation could also be a sign of other diseases. Okay, so in as much as we want to advise you to make sure that you take a lot of fruits, a lot of water, and a lot of vegetables to avoid the constipation, we also want you to be checked, because one of the things that it could be hinting is colon cancer. Okay, constipation could be a sign that colon cancer is on its way or it's already there. So just visit your doctor as many times as you wish. And for our young girls, don't get pregnant if you're not ready. Okay, because it's usually very sad when someone was terminating a pregnancy, but now will end up with no pregnancy in life. Let us wait for when it's the right time. Wait for when you're ready for that responsibility, because it is a responsibility, so that we don't remove your uterus when you're 21. It's usually very distressing even for the person doing it. You can imagine that this is your younger sister. You're imagining, this is my younger sister, or this is me when I was 21, and now I am going to wake up without a uterus, meaning I'll never have periods. I will never have a baby. The other thing is, let's not normalize painful periods for women. I cannot overemphasize this, because you see women being told inakuanga hivyo. It's not. It's not like that. Haikuagi hivyo. So if you have very painful periods that basically debilitate you, you're bedridden during those days, something is wrong. And we don't have to remove the uterus. There are other things we can do if we catch this disease early. There are a lot of other medications that we can use. But if we don't catch you in good time, then it means that there will be delays, and therefore eventually we tell you that the only way out of this is for us to remove your uterus. So I think I'm encouraging women to get screened for cancer, because it's one of the reasons why we have an ultrasound done once a year to check for fibroids and those other diseases that we may not see with our eyes until it's too late. Go to the clinic when you're pregnant. Get your babies in the hospital. Now we have hospitals all over. Have a skilled birth attendant, so that you don't deliver at home alone and end up with a lot of complications. Yes.
2 questions.
Yes, Jane.
Fibroids, how many times can they be removed safely for this woman?
Okay. There is no number of times. I wouldn't say 5 or 6 or 2. It generally depends on the size. Okay, so we are usually guided by the size of the fibroid. There are women who've done 3, 4 surgeries, but it depends on the size. If the fibroids are too big, then we may advise that we don't do repeat surgeries if you've already had surgery done before. But if the fibroids are small, we make every attempt to leave the woman intact with her uterus. But if they are big, then we may end up removing them. Removing the uterus plus the fibroids. But the good thing though with fibroids is, once you reach menopause, most of the times they're no longer an issue, even if they're there, because they tend to shrink a bit. So unless a woman started having them too early, then most of the women, by the time maybe they need a third surgery, they are already in menopause, and we may not need to do the surgery.
Okay.
Yes.
The other area that you talked about also contributes, it may contribute, is the cesarean sections. Like how many would be safe?
So we usually say that question is very common even with women.
Yeah.
So they'll ask you, how many can I have?
Yes. And
So
they
we
want to have 5, 6.
Not even 5. There are communities in this country that have 7, 8, 9. So we tell you, you can have as many cesarean sections as the number of babies you wish to have. However, with every surgery, the risks and the complications are too high. Okay? So we give you information that we cannot force you to stop at number 3 or number 4 or 5, but just know that with every surgery, the complications are almost double what they were for the previous one. So there are communities where we have delivered even an 8th, but I can assure you, when you're doing that, even as a doctor, your heartbeat is at 200 because you're hoping that you don't get the complications. Yeah, but generally you'll find us telling you after the 3rd one, really think if you must go to the 4th one. You must really, really think and ask yourself, is the risk worth it? Okay. However, we say there is no number of cesarean sections that you should stop at, but remember that with every surgery, the complications are almost double what they were with the previous one.
I have a friend who went to the 4th one, cesarean, and the 4th one she was told not to move around a lot, just to be so much almost like a bedridden person, you know, getting a lot of bed rest. And it actually traumatized this lady because she was like, she was being told it is risky, it is risky. And she delivered.
It's true. It's actually true. And sometimes you even get a ruptured uterus that is quiet. You're not in labor, but your uterus is so weak because it's been cut too many times that as it stretches to accommodate the baby, it just gives you like a piece of paper. And that is why you'll find some of those women being told, don't be too active during this pregnancy. And you know, it traumatizes you because then it means you're dependent on other people to do so much for you. So we always say after the 3rd one, ask yourself if the risk is really worth it. But then again, and that's why we say there is no number of cesarean sections, is because there are women who may have had 3 or 4, but don't have a living child. You get? You may have had 3 or 4 cesarean sections, but for one reason or the other, you don't have a child who's alive. You can't tell that woman that you can't have a 4th pregnancy or a 5th one. They'll still try. But we encourage that after the 3rd one, really think and ask yourself if the risk is worth it.
Okay.
Yes.
Daktari, you take a break.
Thank you.
And then when we return, you're going to tell us, Daktari, when the uterus is removed, what happens with the space that was there, was where the uterus was? And that is after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back, our viewer. Daktari is still here. And before the break, I asked her a question. What happens with the space where the uterus was before it was removed? Daktari, what happens?
Thank you, Jane, for that question. Okay, first, I want us to understand that everyone's uterus is the size of their fist. Okay? So when you do this, your uterus is that size. So luckily, it is not too big. So of course, it leaves a space. But as we say, nature abhors vacuum. So what happens with that space is the other organs around it will grow towards filling that space. Okay? Because they don't want a space there. So the ovaries, the muscles that are there, all the other tissues that are around the uterus will grow towards that space and usually will fill it, and it will not be an issue. Okay? So it's really never an issue, don't think about it like I have
hole.
a space, I have a
some
hole
space.
somewhere.
I have a gap.
No, you don't have a gap,
Yeah.
because nature has a way of filling vacuums. Yes, and that's what happens.
Would somebody feel when the uterus is removed? Would you sense that you don't have it? As much as you know physically you don't have it, but would you sense that you don't have it?
No, you don't. You actually don't feel anything. The only ones who feel a difference, and it's not a difference in terms of feeling that I have a vacuum, is the ones who like have very huge fibroids. You've removed a 6 kilo fibroid.
Yeah.
So that woman feels 6 kgs lighter. So those ones actually feel a difference, but they will not feel the vacuum. They'll not feel the void or the space. Yeah, luckily, because also the uterus happens to be at the deepest part of the body. When you're standing, the deepest part of your body, the abdomen, at that deepest point is actually where the uterus is found. Okay? So you actually don't feel a change. You don't feel anything.
Okay.
Yes.
Daktari, is there hope for this lady, this family member whose uterus has been removed?
Yes, there is hope. And I want to believe you're asking especially for the younger woman who may still want to have children.
Yes.
Yes, there is hope. And we are happy that there is hope for them.
Yeah.
So what we do when we remove a uterus is we try our best to avoid removing the ovaries. Unless it is extremely necessary. For the woman who has not reached menopause, we try not to touch the ovaries.
Yes.
So what that means is that the woman still has her eggs with her. Okay?
Yes.
And the woman can have a baby who is her baby.
Yes.
The only thing that woman may not be able to do is to carry that baby for herself. Okay? So there is something called surrogacy. Surrogacy is where someone else carries a baby for you. It is being practiced. There are even prominent Kenyans who've come out to share their stories, members of parliament, who for one reason or the other could not carry a pregnancy, and they looked for someone to do it for them.
Yeah.
We don't have the laws governing that yet in Kenya, but there's a bill. There's an IVF bill that is in parliament that is ongoing, but it's currently ongoing. So you can approach your sister, your friend, someone, anyone. There are many people who've come out to share their stories. So what happens with that is we harvest your egg, fertilize the egg outside the body, which is called IVF.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've all heard about IVF.
Yeah.
So fertilize the egg and then put it inside another woman to carry the baby for you. Yeah, of course, now the laws around whose baby is this are still being worked on.
Yeah.
But at present, the baby belongs to the woman who gave birth. So then the owner of the eggs then goes through the adoption process and adopts that baby. Yeah, so that is ongoing. And for those who may not be ready, because I may not have the money to do it right now, and I'm worried that I could reach menopause before I actually get the money. What you can do is we do what we call freezing your eggs. So we can freeze your eggs for as many years as you would like us to until you're ready. Because my uterus may be removed at 37. I would like to have a baby, but I don't have the money for IVF right now because IVF is not cheap. So what we do is we harvest your eggs, we stimulate your ovaries, harvest your eggs, and freeze them for as long as you would like us to freeze
Where
them.
do you keep them when they are frozen?
So there are centers that do that. So most of the fertility centers in the country are actually able to do that. And there are many now. Now there are many. it's accessible. It may not be very affordable yet, but it is accessible.
Yeah.
And as more centers open, we hope that even the cost will come down.
Okay.
Yeah, but walk into any IVF center, any fertility center, they can harvest your eggs and keep them for you for as long as you wish.
Wow.
So yes, there is hope.
There is hope.
Yeah, there is
hope.
And of course, now in the West, for those who may not be able to do, adoption is still an option. Adoption of a child is still an option for them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but as long as your ovaries are intact, your eggs are there, we can keep them for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I'm imagining, yes, this situation has happened. I don't have, you know, the person to fertilize the egg at that point. not about probably sometimes money for the IVF or even any other, but I'm imagining I don't have somebody at this point, and probably in my life I would want to have this baby. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why we freeze the eggs. Then when you have that person ready, then we can also use their seed.
Yes.
However, there are also sperm banks in this country, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the options are there.
Yeah.
The options are there.
Okay.
It's just that people don't know. Yeah, so people suffer in silence, but they're actually there.
So what would you like to let the public know about the whole reproductive issues of a woman, and how better or how well can they be conscious about what is happening and be alert?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think one of the things we say about women is women have very good health-seeking behavior.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
A woman is more likely to go to hospital than a man. I have nothing against the men.
Yes.
But we always say that women are better at seeking health care.
Yeah.
And I really just want to encourage us, because the good thing with these extra organs that God gave us,
yes,
is that fortunately, most of them give us time, okay, before things get really bad.
Yes.
So most of them give us time, just like labor gives you time to get to the hospital. It's the same thing with most cancers of the reproductive system, that if you have been screened every year,
yeah,
it's unlikely that you'll wake up one day with stage 3 cancer. Even if you get cancer,
yeah,
if you go to the hospital every year, you will probably catch it before it gets to stage 2, 3, or 4, probably in stage 1. So I really just want to encourage us to go to hospital more often, okay? Go to the hospital nearest to your home. Most likely they are doing one form of screening or the other. When you get pregnant, visit the doctor. And to our men, be supportive. We really feel nice when a lady walks in with her husband or her brother or her father has escorted her to the clinic, because we feel that they're getting the social support that they need and they're not suffering in silence. Yeah. So we encourage the whole family to be part of this, because remember, this is where life begins.
Yeah.
Life begins with the reproductive organs of a woman. And if, as they say, the woman makes the community. So if we preserve the woman and her organs, then we are generally preserving the whole community.
Actually, there are people who fear to go for the screening because they don't want to be told something negative, if I may put it that way. And what would you tell them?
A lot of them. And health workers are the leading ones. We are the ones, because you know so much.
Yeah.
But then, Jane, how I look at it is this way. The more you screen, the more chances that you're not going to get a bad result. Because I was screened last year. What are the chances that a disease has progressed from 0 to 4? It's unlikely.
It's unlikely.
You get.
It's unlikely.
So the more you screen,
yeah,
the better your chances of not having cancer, by the way, because you're being screened on a regular basis.
Yes.
So I really want to encourage us, please, let us get screened, especially for cancer of the cervix, which is the second commonest cancer in women after breast cancer. It's the second one in the country.
Yeah.
And it's the leading cause of cancer deaths in women. It actually now overtakes, it's the second commonest, but in terms of deaths, it's the one that causes the most deaths from cancer in women. And it is something that is 100% preventable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this screening expensive? I think that is another fear that people have.
No.
About the screening.
No. So the first line screening that is recommended by government, if you walk into a government hospital, for example, it's 100 shillings. It's 100 shillings only in a government facility.
I'm looking at you.
Yes. Yes, because it's that cheap and affordable and accessible and very affordable. Just walk in any day, it's 2 minutes, it's done, and you're fine for another 1 year.
So the misconception that it is expensive, it is just in our minds.
It's in our minds. So there are different ways of screening.
Yeah.
But the first line is actually 100 bob. So that is called Via Vili. Then there is the pap smear, and then there's the HPV.
Yeah.
So for the first line, the Via Vili, you get screened every year. For the pap smear, you get screened every 3 years. And for the HPV, you get screened every 5 years. But if you look at it this way, say a pap smear is 2,000 or 3,000, it's for the next 3 years. So if you do the math, the 2,000 may sound expensive.
Yeah.
But when you look at the number of years that you won't need to think about it, both financially and emotionally, you realize that it is actually something affordable. Yes.
And the first line?
The first line is 100 shillings per year. So for the next 1 year, you spend 100 bob. You don't have to think about it. Kabisa.
Uko sawa.
Yes.
And the HPV?
The HPV is 5 years.
The human papilloma virus?
Yes, the HPV is 5 years. Average cost is maybe around 9,000. But if you think about it 5 years, when you do the math, you may think that 9,000 sounds a lot. But 5 years from now, I don't need to think about cancer, because if I'm HPV negative, it's unlikely that even if I get it on the 3rd year, it will give me cancer. It will not. And that is why the spacing of the screening is longer, because it means if I don't have HPV now, even if I get it next year, it's unlikely to cause cancer by the time I am being screened again. Yeah. So if you think about it that way, you realize it's not that expensive. But we are the government is trying to make HPV available in the government hospitals for I think about 2,000 shillings. And we hope that can get there so that we can screen as many women as possible. Yes.
Our view towards this, with Daktari, we have organized this activity that she's going to explain to us. Heidi Daktari.
Thank you, Jane. I'm excited to partner with you. I'm really looking forward to this date that I am going to talk about.
Yeah.
So Jane and I, together with Hasho and the Women Ministry, have organized a free cervical cancer screening on the 9th of July from 9 a.m. It's going to be free, okay? We are not going to charge you a thing. And for the next 1 year, you will have peace of mind, okay? So we want to screen every woman who's 21 years and above. We ask you to kindly come on the 9th of July from 9 a.m. Please keep time, because we would like to have a chat first before we go into the actual activity, so that you know what to look out for. I'm really looking forward to this date, and I can't wait to see all of you there.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm also looking forward to having that. The place, the venue will be Word of Faith Community College in Kiambu Town, just across from the market. You get your way there. And as Daktari has said, we really request you, our viewer, come with a friend, block the date, 9th of July, 2022, 9 a.m. And we are going to, for the rest of 1 year, you're going to have a peace of mind. Daktari, your parting shot today.
My parting shot is, let's get screened. Let's go to the hospital. Let us show up on the 9th of July. Don't come alone. Drag your sister, drag your friend, bring your mom, Bring your auntie, bring everybody so that we can stay healthy together. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would say that on that day, we'll also have counselors with us for any support that we may require. And we'll be at hand to support you and be with you, because this is a great day for us. We are calling it the Ladies' Health Day, and we are really looking forward. Our men, our brothers, husbands, partners, kindly encourage the ladies to come on that day. And we believe and we are very hopeful that we'll be able to get as many ladies as we can. We have the facility. We have what it takes for us to support you and work with you. For any that will need referral, Dr. will be with us. And probably she can mention about the referral even as we close.
Yeah, so if we find anything that requires next level of care, we will refer you accordingly. We will guide you accordingly. And as Jen has said, she will have psychologists and counselors on standby. So we will address this together, even as we guide you to where we will refer you. But please come. We have that taken care of. We will be able to refer you accordingly.
Okay,
yeah.
Asante sana. And if you require some help in the meantime, kindly text us on +254 114 404 200. We'll be able to get back to you. And thank you so much. God bless you. See you on the 9th of July 2022 for our day, a great day. Thank you and God bless you.